You know, some days I just want to shut off my brain and cast a spell that costs 15 mana. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and before I get into the deck tech today, I just want to talk a little bit of generic Magic theory. I want to talk about something that the Eternal Glory podcast, my podcast, has called the Mid-Range Wars. Alright, I want you to imagine a deck like Delver. A lot of times you can beat a deck like Delver by going a little bit bigger than them and adding some more controlling elements to make yourself a little bit better at dealing with the creatures in the mirror. And then maybe a full-on control deck can take advantage of that kind of deck that's in the middle between control and tempo. But if you go even bigger than control and you start getting to Eldrazi sized stuff, that's going to have the inevitability over something like a control deck. I mention this right now in the context of Legacy because a lot of the innovation that's happening in the format right now is happening around Up the Beanstalk. And people are building both like tempo and control decks around this card because it often offers an Ancestral Recall worth of value for 2 mana. It happens over time, but assuming you can drag the game on, which a lot of these decks are designed to do, that's a ton of value. So if the control decks are drawing even more cards than normal, going really big to Eldrazi-sized threats that are often going to be uncounterable may be a reasonable direction to go, which is why I want to play Eldrazi today. Now, today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, Cool Stuff Inc., and Eminence Gaming. And remember, if you need paper magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU at checkout to save 5% on your order. And thank you very much to Tim for giving me a donation deck list to kind of let me mess around with something I've been curious about with for a little while. That didn't sound like good grammar. We're moving on. Okay, so in addition to just like Up the Beanstalk becoming a major portion of the metagame, I'm also interested in reevaluating what this deck feels like after the One Ring becomes a part of it. This is something that you're maybe not going to cast on turn 1 or turn 2 like some of the Turbo Artifact mana decks can, but Cloudpost alongside some extra copies of Glimmerpost or maybe Vesuva or Thespian stage going and copying them means that like we're going to hardcast things that cost 15 mana. Like, that's just something that we are expecting to do in this game. And in the past, I felt a little bit awkward about these Green Cloudpost lists. And I kind of understand where they're coming from, but often liked the vibes of colorless builds more. And I want to see if adding a card draw engine to this deck makes me feel just kind of much happier about how the deck plays in practice. And a lot of times this deck is kind of missing something on the way to Primeval Titan, and often will play some mid-range things like Endurance to bridge the gap to that. And I think the One Ring is going to do that better. The card draw is great, the protection from everything is great, and we can gain a silly amount of life with the One Ring to kind of offset this. Most of the other stuff that's here is stock, with the exception of Root Path Purifier, which can turn your lands and land cards in your library into basic lands, which I assume is specifically like some anti-Blood Moon tech. With that being said, I'm going to hop directly into the league here. I am leaving for Vegas in a little while. Well, I mean, it's still a day or two, but I've got a boogie. I've got to get some videos recorded for you all. Let's battle. Alright, I have kept my opening hand for the first round here. My hand's kind of whatever. I've got a Pithing Needle or Wasteland. I have the ability to look for another relevant land drop. This is unexciting, but fine. The Glacial Chasm here is the worst card, but I don't necessarily think that I just want to mulligan the hand already. That is no shuffle. I probably don't like that draw versus basic island. Let's look for another good land here. Glimmerpost is fantastic. I'm going to take that, I think. I probably don't need to Pithing Needle Wasteland. I don't think it costs me a lot to just cast this hard card here. Like, Flooded Strand is often indicative of, like, a blue-white control deck of some kind, so it's possible I'm just hemorrhaging a card here in a way that does nothing. But I probably wouldn't know, at least until turn 3, what I would actually want to go and name with this. Like, Teferi Time Raveler, for example, could be something that I could reasonably name. But on the off chance that, you know, this ends up being like a Jeskai Delver deck or something, I don't mind just playing this out. There are also a bunch of, like, 4-color control decks that... Fourth Aerlingas? Teferi? Delve card? Fourth Aerlingas. Alright, I take back everything I said about that Dismember. I'll pay 4 life so my opponent can't become the Monarch. Daze. Well, obviously I'm not paying for it. A little annoying. And I'm now glad that I did, in fact, Pithing Needle Wasteland. They're not guaranteed to have it or anything, but... 1, 2, 3, 4... I am going to need 2 more land drops here as of right now. But I think we're on track to be doing fine. I would love to draw Cavernous Souls so that Primeval Titan doesn't just get dazed. The 2/2 threat is kind of whatever here. I don't really care about that. But the Monarch emblem is a problem, and you don't really get to interact with this except via the combat step. I'll go to 13, which is no big deal. But again, this card draw will bury me. Remember's okay. I'm not, like, super excited about that. It's, in fact, a little awkward to use, because, like, lowering my life total definitely matters for something like Glacial Chasm a bit later on. I think I'm just going to Dismember in response to this Brainstorm. But it feels very awkward. I know the primary problem here is that my opponent can just, like, drop something like a Murktide Regent that will be a probably 2-turn clock, 1-turn clock with a Lightning Bolt. Alright, so this Ponder gets to shuffle away the cards put back from Brainstorm. Well, okay, they're gonna not shuffle and then grab a fetch land instead. That's fine. No onboard threat is nice. Spike Cavernous Souls. Draw Cavern. Be pretty happy with the 1 ring as well. I'm not happy with Rex Sage as a draw. I am going to play this. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think I cast a Dazeable Primeval Titan here. I think I am just going to play Rex Sage as something that threatens the Monarch. Although I think this is just going to eat a Swords to Plowshares. My draws did not do a good job at bridging to Primeval Titan. Alright, yeah, there's a Swords to Plowshares. Not unexpected. So if my opponent has Mystic Sanctuary, at this point, Mystic Sanctuary represents a new copy of 4th Aerlingas. But I don't really know that I can just play out a Glacial Chasm without any other sort of plan here. Okay, no Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, it's just another one, unfortunately. Yeah. So I'm probably forced to make moves on my turn, which I'm not happy about. Yeah, it's not a good draw here. Glacial Chasm does not tap for mana. But I am just effectively dead once I go to 3 life. So here we are. Yep. So I can buy a little bit of time, but it does not feel good. Because that costs me a mana source. Right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 5 mana, so even if I top deck a Primeval Titan, I can't cast it. Alright, there's Murktide Regent. So the second Glacial Chasm is gone. I am dead. Yep, this is bad. I'm at 5. I think Vesuva copies Cloudpost. I think Vesuva copies Cloudpost. I will go ahead and play a new Pithing Needle. I am going to name Wasteland again, just in case some sort of prismatic ending nonsense ends up happening. So next turn I take 4 from Glacial Chasm, and then it's gone. My opponent has 7 cards in hand. They are probably going to discard for turn. They're so very far ahead. Take 4. Thank you, deck. I needed a third Pithing Needle. All right, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. I'm not there. So on my next turn, I'll have to sacrifice the Glacial Chasm, and then I expect that I am dead. And a Cloudpost doesn't get me to another card here. Sorry, a Cloudpost doesn't get me to Emrakul, right? Because it's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I lose Glacial Chasm. I can play this, die in the air. We did not get there. We have 4x Carpet of Flowers for matchups like these to kind of help with this sort of situation. Rexage comes out. I didn't see any Pithing Needles, but I'm still going to assume that some number of Wastelands are over there. I'm generally not the biggest fan of crop rotations in blue matchups. It just gets countered and feels absolutely awful. And I can decide if I want any of this sort of stuff. Veil's cool, it's just mana intensive. Dismember is awkward since it costs me life to remove creatures. I don't think I'm the biggest fan of the Dismembers. I'm going to play a couple of Veil of Summers and call it good. Alright, we have a reasonable opening hand here. More post. I think that's better than getting the Eye of Ugin now. I think I am going to start on the basic forest and play this out. It incentivizes my opponent to use mana on like lightning bolts and swords of plowshares rather than on deploying a threat. Let's see if they do remove it. Yep, that's fine. And I'm not in the business of putting lands into my graveyard quickly. I'm working towards post immediately, probably. I want to Vesuva it next turn. It is just a land and pass. Love seeing carpet. I will Vesuva, copying a Cloudpost, play a Carpet of Flowers. I don't have anything to do with the mana yet. And my opponent can get like a plateau or a basic that doesn't contribute to the Carpet of Flowers count. But still gonna net me some mana every turn. Opponent's fetching. Could be 4th Airlingas immediately. Yep, and able to play around Carpet of Flowers. Yep. Yeah, and I am not, again, I am not great at taking back the Monarch. We are looking to go big, so my opponent just dropping something like this is a problem. Yes. I'll make some green. Let's cast a Once Upon a Time. Oh, this is Emrakul the Promised End, not the Aeon's Torn. This one counterable, this one is counterable. I think I just grab Emrakul. So then I will Thespian stage and copy a Cloudpost. And I imagine I can cast one of these Emrakuls next turn. So what? I play Glimmerpost. I'll have 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, Carpet of Flowers, 15. Yeah, next turn I just get to Emrakul. The Aeon's Torn. And then I can Emrakul the Promised End the following turn. And I imagine that gets me to where I need to be. Assuming no Wasteland. Some wild shit like Ruination. Oh, that was just a direct lightning bolt to my face. Sure, that's fine. So yes. Make green. Check my math. 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15. Gain 4 life along the way as well. 15 mana Emrakul for the extra turn. And presumably also becoming the Monarch and annihilating all of my opponent's permanents. Turn 5. We have made, on average, 3 mana per land drop. Or I guess 3 mana per turn is more accurate. Alright, going to game 3. So when I'm on the draw, these Dismembers become much better. And it becomes a little bit harder for me to hold up Veil of Summer, because like I'll often be behind on mana. So I'm going to make a swap for at least 2 of those, and from there I can decide whether or not I want more copies to fight against 4th Airlingas specifically, because my Dismember won't kill a Murktide Regent. I still haven't seen a Wasteland in a couple of different games here. So I could just board these out for Dismembers and keep 2 Veil of Summers. Let's do that. This hand is okay as long as Carpet of Flowers does stuff. I'm going to keep it because it has a relevant turn 1 and turn 2 and maybe turn 3 play as well. I'm just going to confirm that Dryad Arbor is not in my deck. It is not. Let's just slam a Reclaimer. My opponent has too many 1-drop removal spells, so I don't actually expect this to stick. But again, I'm not really sending lands to my graveyard all that often unless I activate that thing. All right. I think in theory I would like my opponent to play another island before I fetch this. I think I am just going to play basic forest and pass and get these things make these things safer / better while playing around days on Dismember for 4th Aerlingas. And then next turn, aggressive. Finishing my thought, then next turn I'm going to Bojuka Bog to mitigate the size of a potential Murktide Regent. Alright. It is Teferi Time Raveler instead. That is fine. That means I kind of get time walked mana-wise, but... Ooh. Well, that's neat. Carpet of Flowers. Let's go to my second main now. Yes. I will add green. I will play Carpet of Flowers. I'm going to Bojuka Bog my opponent and mitigate the power of that graveyard. And then we're going to save Green Sun and cast it for a larger number. Unfortunately, I now don't get to Dismember to stop like a 4th Aerlinga's token from getting in and punching me in the face. We have gotten the full-on "Sir, that was not kind" in chat. I know, that's why I did it. Bouncing 1 carpet. Ooh. Now we're cooking with gas. Yes. Make green. Play land drop. 4 mana. Attempt the 1 ring. Ooh, we're in play. Nice. Draw a card. Come on. Come on. So rude. And I don't actually get the card there because of how the burden counters work. I'll play a new Carpet of Flowers. And we'll work on converting Green Sun into Primeval Titan. Very pluses. This is a point where I would love to draw a Veil of Summer. All 3 basics. That's a Dismemberable Murktide Regent. How much mana do I have? So this is 4 mana, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think Murktide Regent is sticking around for a turn. So this is a Green Sun for X is 6. My opponent has exactly 2 cards. Primeval Titan hits play. Maze of Ith is very good here. I think I'm going to get one of those instead of just going ham on Cloudposts immediately. So let's do a Maze of Ith. There's also like Dark Depths Thespian stage. I think I'm going to do a Maze of Ith and a Cloudpost. I don't think I have to turbo through this game. Alright, Primeval Titan goes farming. And now opponent's running on fumes here. Okay, nice. I think I am not going to immediately add mana. I think I'm going to cast the Once Upon a Time first in main phase 1. And then plan appropriately from there. That is a force of will. That's fine. I'll go to second main phase. So let's copy my Cloudpost. Get some green mana. Let's untap this for some mana. Dismember the Murktide Regent. And drop Elvish Reclaimer as well. How am I doing on mana? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Pretty close to Emrakul. I go up to 13 if my opponent fetches for a blue source. All right, here is the fetch. We'll see if they have to get a blue land at this point. I'm not sure exactly what their mana base looks like, because there's a couple of decks that run stuff that looks approximately like this. So for example, we haven't seen Dragon Rage Channeler out of this deck yet, which is something that I would have been expecting from a lot of the builds. All right, so that is for X's 2, so I can only maze one of those. And I will. Again, the damage is not scary right now. The Monarch draw is. Cool. Yes. Green mana. Yes. Green mana. Play Cloudpost. What am I looking at now? 3, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15? 15. Big boy. Opponent is at 15 life. This is uncounterable. And that'll do. We went over the top. Well, that is certainly a card that you can play. Yeah, I mean, they could have returned my Emrakul to my hand and drawn a card, and then I would have taken another turn. Don't play White Remand. Eminence Gaming's Command Tower software is a fantastic way to run 4-player EDH or CEDH events, and it's also great for 1v1 tournaments. It has easy event registration, and there's no download required. Everything just runs in browser. The best part is that it's only $5. Visit eminence.events for details. All right, we are playing against a Yorion deck here. I think I will be keeping my hand. If this is a D&T style deck, I have Pithing Needle for Wasteland. You Once Upon a Time, sure. Once Upon a Time Yorion, huh? Okay. So it is, yeah. This is going to be a Yorion build of like the green, white, maybe Naya Reclaimer deck. Got it. Glimmerpost, Boseiju, crop rotation to get a Cloudpost. Am I far enough along here that I can take Primeval Titan? I don't think so. I think I need the Cloudpost. So let's actually Boseiju and Pithing Needle Wasteland. It's a little awkward because I've got like double Elvish Reclaimer here. That's an awesome draw. So I will play Cloudpost for the future and drop my own Elvish Reclaimer here. And we'll see if my opponent goes for like Merit Lodge nonsense or what. They also reasonably could have Ghost Quarter in their deck. They picked up Second Savannah off the Flagstone trigger. Alright, and they are going to go for Depths. Got their own Caracas. Sure, that's fine. That's also fine. Vesuva. That's just going to copy a Cloudpost. So I'll copy Cloudpost. I don't think crop rotation is necessary right now. I'm going to go ahead and just play another Elvish Reclaimer. And on my next turn, I can play Caracas and then have some pretty respectable options. I imagine my opponent is getting rid of their Caracas here for Dark Depths. I guess I also could have gotten cheeky and held up crop rotation for Thespian stage and made my own 2020. Oh, they grabbed a Boseiju. That's super weird. Playing with that. Oh. That's not a super typical card. They're going to Boseiju my Pithing Needle. Oh, they're going to Boseiju one of my lands directly. I see. Yeah. Alright. That's not where I thought this was going. Okay, sure. I could crop rotation for Bojuka Bog to drastically reduce the amount of damage that I'm about to take here. That would take me off of green. How do I feel about that? I don't think I like it. I'll just take the damage. I've got a couple of Glimmerposts in hand here. Cool. So I play Glimmerpost. I crop rotation for a Cloudpost. It enters tapped. I have 3, 4, 5. So I'm not quite there yet, but I will be there next turn. So we're good with this. Last turn. Opponent's got another land drop. Could grow something like a Knight of the Reliquary. They've only got 2 cards left. They have that Yorion companion that they might end up using. I don't have the endurance to punish the attack, because it's not in my deck. I'll take that. End of turn. Crop rotation. Sacrificing this. Grabbing a new Cloudpost. 3, 6, plus this. So let's go get a Primeval Titan. Bam. I will use this ability. I have Ugin, Mazavith are reasonable. I can also just, like, get a couple of Cloudposts. Karakas protects me from combo. Unless some weird stuff happens. I could just, like, Glacial Chasm here. Doesn't feel right. I'm gonna Eye of Ugin, Cloudpost, play Karakas and pass. Drop rotation for a Ghost Quarter specifically. To knock me off Karakas could mean that I die to Merit Lodge here. Alright, my opponent gave it some thought, but they have sacrificed the Windswept Heath. Is that their own Cloudpost? Yeah, that's not a copy of mine. That's their own Cloudpost. Okay. Sure. This is not a direction I really saw this going. Well, opponent, you need to do something batshit insane on your turn, because my Cloudposts now tap for, what, 4, 5, 6, 6, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21 mana. Yeah, I have onboard Emrakul. My opponent's been sitting here for a couple minutes, trying to figure out what they're doing. March of Otherworldly Light for X is 6. Understood. So now are you going to rotate away your Cloudpost to deny me mana? Okay, yes. Just turning it into a new Thespian stage. And getting rid of the other one. Or another Thespian stage, sure. Are you dead? If I play this 5, 10, 15, infinite Emrakul turns. Cool. Yep. Glimmerpost. Okay. You could have let me show you the card. So I'm a little confused about what my opponent is doing over there. Kind of the good news is that I probably don't have too many things that I'll want to board in. I might think about this for Wastelands. I'm going to get rid of Rex Sage. That gets me a Dismember. Can I cut, like, Glacial Chasm here? Doesn't normally produce mana. I am slightly more confused about what my opponent is doing. Was expecting more Knight of the Reliquary type cards, and they still may be in there. Maybe I don't mess around with this. I can cut one other, like, utility land, but maybe I just want to be making land drops. I'm not confident enough about what my opponent is doing to make fully informed sideboarding decisions. I like opening hands with Pithing Needle, but I don't think this is enough mana, especially since the Vesuva is so awkward. I think I'm just going to take a mulligan on this one. Yes, this is fine. I'm keeping it. I probably just put back the Maze of Ith. Opponent is going to 5. Lots of Once Upon a Times here. That is a Cavern of Souls, which I assume is going to power out an Elvish Reclaimer. Is okay with me. Nice. So let's cast this. Is there any world where I want second Elvish Reclaimer? Nah. Let's grab Glimmerpost. I think I'm just going to play a basic this turn and dismember their Elvish Reclaimer. And then I can Pithing Needle, presumably shutting off Wasteland next turn, while also getting my own Elvish Reclaimer into play. Which is okay with me. Because I specifically have Karakas, I don't need to needle this. So let's Glimmerpost, cast Pithing Needle. I still think I'm just naming Wasteland. And I'll drop my Elvish Reclaimer. And the goal is to have my opponent commit resources to the Dark Depths plan, and then I drop Karakas. And they're getting Savannah. Okay, sure. Settling in for a longer game. Is this an Elvish Reclaimer on my side of the battlefield? I think so. We'll put that on Giant for later. Do this for 1. Pick up another one of these and pass. Yeah, they... Ooh. So that fully just becomes my play right now, right? Yeah. So let's play this. Start drawing some cards. I don't need to do this yet. This attack in is usually safe. I'll hit my opponent to 19. They are staging Savannah, which is weird to me because I just gave them green. They need white for something. Just haven't been able to get a great read on what exactly my opponent is trying to do over there. All right, that is Yorion to hand. Solitude pitching the Yorion. That's fine. I don't really care about my Elvish Reclaimer all that much. Like, I have the One Ring in play. All right. Let's draw some cards. How much does this currently cost? 12. Just instants in there. Do I want to play around my opponent's last card being crop rotation? I can. It feels better for me not to, and just play my Cloudpost and then Emrakul my opponent the following turn. But I should probably play around it. I would kick myself if I lost to it in such a strong position. Okay, yep. Ooh. Big mana, unfortunately. That's a good top deck. Can't really bounce that either. Losing 2 more permanents every turn is just not reasonable. Okay, my opponent's not going to give me the option either. Sure. I unfortunately think I'm going to lose to that. Like, I've got things that get me out. Just doesn't feel good. 1 card type in graveyard for this. My opponent has 3 of these, 4, 5. So next turn I can tap this Cloudpost for 6. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Indestructible. It's indestructible. I also just am top 20. Yeah. Like, the One Ring fogging it isn't great. I've used a I will have multiple I couldn't draw them. I couldn't draw multiple dismembers at the same time here. So my plan needs to be kill my opponent on not this turn, but my next turn. And they're at 22. I need this Elvish Reclaimer alive, probably. Alright. I need, like, Thespian Stage, Dark Depths combo. That's rough. And they have Glacial Chasm to prevent me from getting a kill. Unfortunate. Can also bounce a post out of play so that or sacrifice a post as well. Sure. Alright, so my amount of mana has greatly decreased. I will throw in the towel here. Like, I can Glacial Chasm, but this thing still attacks me and gets rid of 20 of my cards. My Caracas is in exile. I can't bounce it now that my opponent doesn't have enough mana. I'm just going to confirm that I don't have a second Caracas. I don't. Alright. We lost to the Brew, but we'll go to another game. I'm not fully convinced that my opponent actually has Wasteland anymore. I may be Pithing Needle their Thespian Stages. I guess I also don't fully know that they have Dark Depths combo. It seems like the sort of thing that they should have. This is awkward. I'm gonna keep it. It's very good versus Elvish Reclaimers. But I don't have the green mana I need to work towards Primeval Titan. Play our post and pass. With the goal here of being take out early Elvish Reclaimers. And hope to find green mana. That's not green mana. I probably just play this tapped this turn. That way a Dismember is more likely to not cost me the full 4 life. Sure. Looks like my hand is not going to line up well versus what my opponent is doing. Another Dismember is a brutal draw. I can't play out another post here. It just pushes my opponent further ahead. I'm going to be looking to draw something like the One Ring or green mana sources, either of which gets me to where I need to be. Sure. Opponent does a crop rotation. So, I think, did they miscount? Yeah, they miscounted. Okay, great. My hand is much better now. Because my crop rotations are live. Oh, they're trying to get a Caracas. Would I like to just rotate away my Caracas so they don't get one, and that this remains a Cloudpost for my own turn? Then this will be 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Let's crop rotation, sacrificing my Caracas. If I pick up a Cloudpost, that's probably fine. There'll be 4 of them in play. My opponent will have 4, 8, 9 mana. Actually, the difference between that and 11 is kind of huge. Maybe I don't. Let's pick up like Eye of Ugin for later. I would really like a second post, but I don't think I give my opponent the extra mana. I'll fizzle that ability, keeping that a Cloudpost. Colorless, black, 2 life, take out Reclaimer. Ooh, now I don't even have to play this land. Or no, I do, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So this is 3, 4, 5. This can be 6 for Primeval Titan. Yes. We'll go Giant. 6 mana. Yes. Oh, this is a Thespian stage, though. So that gets a little weirder. So I won't just go for Dark Depths combo. I'm going to get a Thespian stage and a Maze of Ith. I should maybe just be going for bigger mana because I have like the Eye of Ugin, but I really don't want to push my opponent towards Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger amounts of mana. And apparently for good reason. Alright, my opponent has their own Primeval Titan. So things are going to get all sorts of weird. They are going for Dark Depths and Thespian Stage. I have Thespian Stage in play, though. I see. You're going to Solitude my Primeval Titan. Alright. So there's 3 of these. So I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 mana. I think I would like to double Dismember Primeval Titan and make a Merit Liege. To target Dark Depths, we can do that with this mana and make a 20/20. Then this is a black mana. 1 Dismember on Primeval Titan. Another land drop is fine. I just won't make it a post. 2nd Dismember on Primeval Titan. Now my opponent needs to find Caracas to get rid of my Merit Liege. My Caracas is my graveyard, though, so I can't get rid of theirs either. Oh, that's brutal. That probably beats me. Because that gets their Caracas. And they can even bounce it to deploy it immediately. That's rough. I was looking to dodge for 1 turn. Was not successful. How much does this cost? 9? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so I have to play this. I will Emrakul the Promised End. So I now get to take one of my turns as my opponent. And I can probably do a lot of damage to them by doing that. So I can kill... Yeah, I can kill a bunch of their lands. I can kill their Primeval Titan. Okay. So let's go to combat. You attack with this. I'll put that trigger on the stack. Will not use that ability. I'll go to blocks. I will block Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan will die. I will tap Caracas. And this. Let's add some mana. I will have Thespians. Oh, fuck. Need to leave this one untapped. Sorry, I'm not used to navigating the other side of this screen. All right, so Thespian Stage copies Dark Depths, paying some mana. Okay. So we'll let that happen. You will keep this Dark Depths. Place this triggered ability on the stack. Thespian Stage will become a copy of Dark Depths, paying some mana. You will keep this Dark Depths. This goes on the stack. This is awkward. You get a Merit Lage. I will Karakas, bounce your Merit Lage to your hand. I will cast a Once Upon a Time. Say no. I will cast a Green Sun. I will not find a card, and I will pass the turn back to you. That is a very awkward card to navigate with this interface. My opponent may bounce my Emrakul to Promise End and allow me to continue to do that if they would like. That was a lot of damage. Not the literal life total kind. Alright, my opponent goes to 6. I'll put this on Elf, I guess. Only taps for 2, right? Or 3. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This doesn't have a sorcery speed restriction. I'll just pass the turn and then pick up an Eldrazi and win on the following turn. Okay. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They are not there. Whereas I am there. For my own copy. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fuck. Alright, so I will respond. I'll search for my own copy. So, yeah. How much does this cost? 11. I'm not there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7. Yeah, my opponent's got me. So the only thing that I can play towards now is a timeout, which I shouldn't be able to do. I guess I could have crop rotation awayed one of their lands. Like I could have crop rotationed away Eye of Ugin to help out with this situation that is currently happening. I was very tight on mana for doing the line that I did. I guess crop rotation turning Eye of Ugin into another green land ends up with the same amount of green mana. That is my worst draw. Alright, I am comfortable conceding here. GG's. Alright, I've kept my hand here. I've got a Pithing Needle for Wasteland if it looks like that's a thing that I'm going to need to do. Are we in? Yeah, okay, we are in the 8-cast general ballpark. That's fine. My Pithing Needle has changed its job pretty much instantly. So I'm going to start doing this. Ugin is fine. It's very slow, but it's fine. So I am going to cast Pithing Needle here. And we're going to shut off Emry. It's very tempting to just like take the immediate 2-for-1 with shutting these off, but I think Emry would still just draw a card every turn with this or get mana. And I would rather just fully shut that off. I don't want my opponent to have sources of card advantage here, because I probably just win this game unless my opponent Force of Wills my stuff. Sure. Bog is an okay draw. Hellish Reclaimer will stop chip damage from Emry, and we'll just get the big lands going. I have the 1 green that I need for Green Sun already. I'm not going to have to rotate for a second one immediately. Patchwork Automaton is fine. It's much less scary without a source of extra card draws every turn. Oh, that's very good as well. So I will Vesuva, copy Cloudpost, and just pass the turn here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can cast a Primeval Titan or a Green Sun next turn. It's somewhat likely that the first attempt I take at doing this isn't going to work. I don't think that's a problem, though. Ooh, Legend Rule Otawara. Presumably playing something like a Kappa Cannoneer. Yes. That card's very good. And I will go ahead and just activate this and turn it into a Cavern of Souls. Naming Giant. That way my Primeval Titan comes down 100% of the time this turn. So there it comes. With Eye of Ugin, I can probably just get double Cloudpost and be perfectly happy with that. And it's not like Kappa Cannoneer is going to produce lethal in one swing. So next turn, I can control 6 Cloudposts, which is like 24 some odd mana. So I think we're going to be fine. The life total might take a beating this turn from the look of things. See whether or not my opponent holds back a creature to trade with Primeval Titan. Negative. Elvish Reclaimer doesn't matter anymore. I can give that up for 6 life. This doesn't trample. Yep. So my opponent can draw 2 cards. I'll go to combat. Swing on in with Prime Time. Get double Glimmerpost. And revamp my life total here. I'll drop Eye of Ugin. Do have to tap 2 Cloudposts to activate it. Oh, this is an Emrakul spot, right? 6/12, yeah. Very easily cast Emrakul and go from there. So for 8 cast, we have some copies of Force of Vigor. I can consider additional copies of Dismember. The Rex Sage becomes reasonable, and the Pithing Needle's job switches from targeting Wasteland to probably targeting Emry. My crop rotations are a little riskier here versus counterspells. I could do this and just finish sideboarding like that. My green count for Force of Vigor is somewhat low. I also might want additional copies of Dismember. Taking out an early Emry or Sai or whatever can matter a lot. Pithing Needle can also go on Urza Saga in this matchup. I also could maybe go down this creature. I never want to search it up, and I don't exactly want to draw it either. Let's do that. L. There's a clear plan. I'll give the hand that. Alright, opponent's on 6. Hoping to shut off Emry nonsense. Alright. Sure, Metalcraft is on. Force of Vigor, not great without a green card to pair with it. I'm just going to do a tapped Cloudpost this turn. And start working on my plan. And then hopefully my opponent plays an Urza Saga or an Emry this turn that I can Pithing Needle. Oh no, they're going to let me just play spells. Yeah, Cloudpost pass. Should pretty easily be able to find a time to play Pithing Needle later once my opponent shows me the thing that I need to needle. Yeah, this is not going to go well for you, opponent. I'll Thespian stage a Cloudpost here. Last turn. Sure. So they get their Bauble draw. Would you like to pass the turn again? Because I am adoring this. My opponent? Okay, yeah, okay. So now I have a Pithing Needle target. That's fine. So I'll copy Cloudpost. So if I play a Glimmerpost, this is 4, 8, 12, 13 mana. 14 mana next turn. Maybe 15 mana next turn if I play Glimmerpost. I kind of want to cast Once Upon a Time, though. Like, treat that as counterspell bait so the Pithing Needle resolves. Yeah. Oh my god, I messed up. I wasn't supposed to play that land. I don't usually think about not... Yeah, that's a very big mistake, actually, since I drew that specific land. I usually don't think about Once Upon a Time still being free on turn 4. But this does stop me from casting Force of Vigor on 2 of my opponent's permanents on their turn. Force of Negation. Sure, that's fine. Yeah, but I objectively made a mistake, and it costs me exiling Urza Saga and Mox Opal on my opponent's upkeep. I don't think it's going to matter, because I think I just get to Emrakul before my opponent can kill me. Yeah, that's fine. Sure. And I'm not interested in copying their Urza Saga. I'm working on increasing the amount of mana that I have. There's a Cloudpost. If I play Glimmerpost, 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 1 off from Emrakul. I always have Emrakul next turn, So let's just Force of Vigor and make sure I don't die. Would I like to do this on my turn or my opponent's turn? My turn, so they don't get another Urza Saga token. Yeah. I'm going to go Urza Saga token, and I think Construct token over Mox Opal. Pitchcast Force of Negation is possible on my turn. But it should be pretty hard to lose from here. Sort of some absolute nonsense like a Commandeer stealing my Emrakul or something. Yeah, Chalice is fine. It doesn't do a lot against me. Board it out. Almost all of my 1-drops. I'll take 3. Not a big deal. Play Glimmerpost. Gain some life. 15 mana. Extra turn. And that'll do. GG's. I think my opponent kept on 6. I don't know how close to playable their hand was, but it's possible they needed to go to 5 because they just can't give me the amount of time that they gave me, right? Like this is turn 7. I am at 19 life, which I guess I just gained 4, so it's really like 15 life. If I'm at 15 life on turn 7 and like your role in the matchup is kind of like beat down or maybe like tempo, like leverage your counter spells to buy the time that you need for Patchwork Automaton and friends to get over the finish line. I just don't know that the role determination was correct for my opponent here. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, just the best place to keep your online deck lists, and the reason I say that is it just has so much functionality. So for example, let's take a look at some random legacy deck here. You can click on your various 2-drop slots and you can see what % chance you have of casting various things on curve, and you can get a breakdown of your mana symbols and all of that stuff, and there's a lot more here than just this. Consider checking it out. Okay, I don't like this hand. With double Yavimaya here, this is kind of like a 2-lander, and I don't have any Cloudposts to accelerate things out. Let's ship this. This hand is fine. In a vacuum, not knowing what my opponent is playing, I will probably just get rid of the Dismember. This is not going to be a fast game. This is going to kind of be one of those games where I am going to lean on Elvish Reclaimer to do some work in getting me Cloudposts. I don't like this matchup. I don't know what it is, but I can almost guarantee you that we're losing it. Unless it's a fair Underground Sea deck. We could beat a fair Underground Sea deck, but anything in like the Doomsday or Storm vein, I'm just going to have a lot of trouble with. I'm going to go Glimmerpost and pass. Not sure if that's better than basic land or not. Definitely scared. Dark Depths, that's interesting. Yavimaya? I might need to Yavimaya looking a few turns ahead at how things could potentially go. Am I getting dazed? Fine if I get dazed. Oh, sure, that's also fine. That seems like weird timing to do that spell. Sure. Doesn't seem like weird timing anymore. So this is way better than my opponent just like being on something like Doomsday. Like, Bowmasters isn't that big of a clock. I can just randomly find Thespian stage as well. And my hand does some really cool shit. I would like to play an untapped land this turn. Probably means Dark Depths here. Though it's awkward if Yavimaya specifically gets wastelanded afterwards. So let's attempt to go get an Elvish Reclaimer. We succeed, and I will play a second one dazedly. I don't mind one of them getting dazed here. Scared of a wasteland right now before Elvish Reclaimers untap. Otherwise, I'm pretty okay. So my opponent's basically saying I have Orcish Bowmasters. I don't think I trade here. I think I can just do much more damage to my opponent by keeping these creatures around. Vesuva. Okay. So the land that I get off Elvish Reclaimer will enter tapped. So I basically have to decide whether or not I'm going the Dark Depths route or not immediately. I play Forest as my land this turn, I can activate both Elvish Reclaimers, and I'm good with that. Okay, sure. That's fine. So what don't I want them to have? I don't want them to have Force of Will. I guess if I just kill them, I probably split like this. Because Ponder finding an answer to a Merit Lodge is actually one of the scarier things that could happen right now. Yeah, so I think I don't show them Ponder, and I offered this somewhat attractive pile. Okay, so they do take the Ponder. Ooh. That certainly makes things more interesting. Sure. Ooh, it's a Murktide Regent. Sure. Game got very complicated with the introduction of that Wasteland. Can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Can be blocked by creatures with the same power. Sure. I was supposed to activate there. That was a bad misclick. That was a very bad misclick. Okay. So let's pivot off this Dark Depths plan. I cost myself this game. As my Cloudpost just gets wastelanded here. Oh, nope. Oh my god. Okay. The One Ring here. I will Vesuva. Copy Cloudpost. I have 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I think I play the One Ring. And this leaves an Elvish Reclaimer activation up, so I can't get wastelanded. I'm fine with this whole thing happening. Sure. And I'll pass the turn here. It'll push on the Reclaimer happens now. So let's activate this. Sacrifice the Yavimaya so that doesn't get wastelanded. Getting Cavern is cool. Getting Glimmerpost is also legit. I think getting Cavern forces the wasteland and allows me to keep my Cloudposts. We'll do that and name Giant. That forces this wasteland here, allowing me to then play Boseiju into Primeval Titan. Assuming I don't find anything better to do. Sure. Okay. Reanimating? Okay, great. I mean, that means Force of Will isn't happening, which is probably what I care about. How much does my opponent have coming in next turn? 8, 14, 15, 16, 17 damage? A lot. I'm just going to gain a gajillion life off double Glimmerpost, though. I think I'm okay. They're going after one of my Cloudposts. Sure. Okay. If I lose one, Pithing Needle's not great here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can just play a Primeval Titan uncounterably. I can also do that while getting another Cloudpost. I think I'm also supposed to draw cards. Those aren't the draws I'm looking for, but I don't think that matters. Play this. There's Primeval Titan, uncounterably. Yes, we will find a Glacial Chasm and Cloudpost, question mark, and Cloudpost. I'll sacrifice Boseiju, call it a turn. So we're good to everything but another Wasteland taking out my Glacial Chasm. Fuck. Yeah, in that case, I'm dead. I can't be blocked, right? Yeah, I can't block that. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. So, double Glimmerpost would have gained me 10 life, allowing me to survive that exact situation, but would have been scarier the next turn. Maybe I did that wrong. All right. Carpet in for sure. And then I have a handful of secondary things that are okay. I'm going to do my usual thing of boarding out Crop Rotation. Board out Rex Sage. Probably board out a Caracas reasonably. This gets me the 4 carpets as mana acceleration. Probably get rid of this creature. And then just like, what's the ratio of like Dismembers versus Veil of Summers I want? And do I want this thing? I just haven't boarded this in all league. let's do a split and then decide from there how they feel. I'm actually going to keep this. It doesn't have enough land, but Veil of Summer really puts a hurting on a lot of my opponents, like Grief, Reanimate, Grief lines that they might otherwise start the game with. Sure. And I'm willing to take a turn off tempo-wise to hold that up. I will want to hit more natural land drops. Alright. Cast Veil of Summer. Veil of Summer got Force of Willed. I'll call that a win. So my opponent traded 2 for 1 for Veil of Summer, and then 2 for 1 for one of the cards in my hand here. They went for Reclaimer. They really tanked on it, though. That was a tough play for them. Alright, am I willing for my Green Sun to get dazed? I think so. Like, I'd rather play the 1 ring on curve later and get knocked off of curve for this. See what my opponent's got as follow-up. Reanimate would not surprise me. If they take my copy of the 1 ring, I get to Dismember Grief. Alright, cool. Avamaya is kind of whatever. I am fine dismembering right now. Alright, out of play. And we get to start doing Elvish Reclaimer nonsense. I think my opponent is still favored, despite the fact that they've 2 for 1 themselves a couple of times, because they're just going to have things like Sauron's Ransom that they can top deck to get themselves back into it. But if they don't make some impressive plays in the next turn or two, I will start to become more and more favored. Alright, so goodbye Boseiju. I could play super defensively and just get like a Maze of Ith, but I would like to be able to play a 4-drop like the 1 ring if I draw it. What about Stage Depths? Oh, it's got 1 card. JK. I like that plan a lot. Right now, before another Wasteland can come in, rotate a Forest. Get Dark Depths. Oh fuck, it interstepped. That was poor timing. Alright, my bad on that. See if I get punished for my mistake. Crop rotation on the brain. Yeah, it's 4 looks at Wasteland. Yep. Punished. This is now a 3-4. And I was also planning on bogging next turn. That went about as poorly as possible. But for clarification, it is my fault that it happened that way. And now I can't just immediately get Maze of Ith to blank that damage. This goes on Giant. I'm just 1 mana short of a lot of the good lines. Like, I can... Yeah, this sucks. So I do this, get an Elvish Reclaimer, and then I have to go 2 mana, activate this, probably get rid of Cavern, to get Glacial Chasm, which makes me sacrifice another land. I'll do Thespian Stage. And now I can buy time, but I'm bad against another Wasteland again. Ponder's not what I want to see. Yeah, but I fully punted this game with my timing of my initial Elvish Reclaimer activation. Alright. The worst case scenario did not happen. So now I've got to kind of hope to get a little bit lucky. So let's try to hit a land drop. Eye of Ugin will work. Play it and pass. I probably have to just rotate Eye of Ugin into a Cloudpost. I've just got to work towards enough mana to do cool things. I don't have all that much time. So junk Eye of Ugin. Pick up Cloudpost. Costs me 4 life now. This is not what I want to see. So do this. Force of Will pitching Brainstorm. That's fine. So if I would like, I can turn Glacial Chasm into Maze of Ith here, and then keep the Murktide Regent at bay. Either line loses to Wasteland, but this one keeps me at a higher life total. So sack this, get Maze, make a land drop, Now I have double block for Grief, Maze for Murktide. My opponent has a decent amount of cards now. Dress down's annoying. My opponent can dress down pre-combat and shut off these abilities. So block and block. Oh, that is very bad for me, isn't it? All right. So I do this. I'm going to take this Grief out of play. It comes at great cost to me, though. So I activate this. I probably get rid of the Boseiju first. Activate this. Getting rid of Boseiju. Turning it into Cloudpost. Then I activate this one. Getting rid of Forest. Turning it into, I believe, Glimmerpost. Maybe it's just another Cloudpost so that my colorless creatures are better. Do the Cloudpost. The dress down turns these into 1/2s. I'll trade one of these Reclaimers away for Grief. And now we'll just kind of see how good the top of my deck is. Sure. That's a Green Sun. Opponent has 2 cards. What are these worth? Well, here we go. Let's see if it's Force of Will plus blue card. X is 6. Okay. Nice. So I will Primeval Titan. I will use this ability. I will pick up a Glimmerpost. Oh, I have Ugin in my graveyard already? It is. So I guess I'll just grab a second Glimmerpost. Thespian Stage is pretty good too. Do Thespian Stage. I'll gain some life. Pass the turn. I still have an Elvish Reclaimer activation available, should I need it. It's mostly just Wasteland insurance against this getting Wastelanded, because that knocks me off green. A new Narset is fine. The thing that beats me is Wasteland plus second Murktide Regent. Enough out for Primeval Titan is good. I have not forgotten that I have Maze of Ith. And then end of turn, I'm still going to activate this. We are going to just rotate a Glimmerpost into a new Glimmerpost to just slowly start gaining some extra life, as I have taken a lot over the course of this game. And now we're just looking for something like the One Ring or another Green Sun to kind of put things over the top here. X is 6. And my opponent is done with me, understandably. So when I'm on the draw, do I want extra copies of Dismember? And I guess same question with Veil of Summer. Is the Saruman's Ransom target? No, it's choose an opponent. Dismember not actually killing Murktide Region a good portion of the time is certainly awkward. I think I want extra Dismembers on the draw. I could go down some copies of the One Ring since my opponent is an Orcish Bowmaster's deck. What does my deck look like if I do this? I do bam, bam, bam. 60? This is expensive on the draw. I could probably fit this thing in here somehow over this. Let's do this. Or mana value. Oh, I don't have the Karakas on the deck. I thought I put that back in. All right. Let's not. This hand is amazing if Once Upon a Time finds me a natural green source. I think I keep it and fire off Once Upon a Time in my opponent's first upkeep. This is so strong. I don't know. Like, if this gets countered or it misses the green source, the hand is pretty sketchy. Maybe this is too risky. Maybe this is too risky. Good enough to keep on current resources. I am going to cast Once Upon a Time before it is dazeable. Vesuva and Thespian Stage. Not the green mana that I was looking for. I will take Vesuva. And we'll just kind of see how bad... Okay, that's very good with me. Another Dismember came back. Sure. Probably don't play the Dismember in a dazeable way. It's weird because, like, if I wait, Force of Negation gets turned on. I guess I could do it in my opponent's next upkeep. Or they may just like pass the turn and it's a moot point. Don't know that I like playing the Delta prior to the Brainstorm. Grief's good. Grief gets to take, assuming it comes back, both of these. Sure. Oh. Yes. Was not really expecting that. Man, I hope my opponent does not have a Force of Will. Fuck. That's so bad. Okay. Let's not talk about what is about to happen ever again on this channel. Gain 2 life. Attempt Dismember. It'll resolve. Let's pay 4 life. Attempt Dismember. Okay, it resolved. However, I'm getting double wastelanded. So there's that. Oh, and Murktide Regent? Yep. So this is disgusting. I technically... Never mind. Never mind. Absolutely not. We're out. Alright, my opponent very, very quickly mulliganed to 5. They're probably playing something like Reanimator. So I'm going to hold up Crop Rotation on my turn 1. I'm just thinking about whether or not I want to Once Upon a Time on my own turn, or like to find a forest specifically. I think I do, in case my evaluation is wrong and my opponent is like a Wasteland deck. Okay, there is a forest. With the One Ring in hand, I probably just take second Cloudpost, though. Alright, Yavimaya pass. My opponent said, I love your content, and then I played Yavimaya, and they said, I immediately changed my mind. I love my crop rotation here. Bojuka Bog time. Double Grave Troll. Dark Depths, sure. Do I want Elvish Reclaimer in play? Nah. Am I rotating away Dark Depths? No, I'm rotating away Cloudpost now. I'm rotating away Cloudpost. Bam. Fuck. So punished. Yeah, so my opponent had the Daze, and then I didn't put Elvish Reclaimer into play. All around tough for me. I can play around another Daze if I would like. By playing Dark Depths this turn. I suppose I will. And then this represents Bojuka Bog next turn. Is this 2 to flashback? It's 2 to flashback. My opponent is playing kind of this slow dredge build. We're hoping to kind of dodge a lot of the scariest things this turn exactly. You could make some argument that I'm supposed to dismember Narcomoeba in their draw step. But I don't think their Cabal Therapy hits right now. Oh, targeting themselves, sure. Oh, I see. They have Cephalid Coliseum. Sure. Okay, so there is a reason to do it. I was thinking Cabal Therapy targeting me. Wasn't specifically thinking about Cephalid Coliseum. Okay. That is 1 Narcomoeba. 2 Bridge from Belows is fine. Yep. Named Green Sun. No big deal. And then they aren't willing to sacrifice another to take out one of these cards. Is this worth 4 life? Sure. Alright. Is this the land that I am sacrificing? Probably. Bam. Gain the life. 2 mana. Sacrifice Glimmerpost. Get the Bojuka Bog. Bojuka Bog, my opponent. My opponent has 20 cards remaining in their library. Their Dread Return is gone. Yeah. GG. So Surgical Extraction, quite good. Veil of Summer has some text. Carpet of Flowers has some text. Dismember has some text. I don't know how excited I am about any of that. Rex Sage is going out. I'll probably cut 1 top end card. I don't cut Crop Rotation here, despite the fact that my opponent is a blue deck. Pithing Needle can go on Cephalid Coliseum, so it's still okay. The One Ring is very slow. That said, I don't really know that I'm cutting it. I can probably cut a utility land, like cut the Caracas. I don't imagine that most of the time I need to bounce one of my Eldrazi. That can be Dismember 3. The members are just like awkward though. Like they sometimes prevent bridge from below nonsense from happening if no bridges are in the graveyard yet. Maybe I'll just keep the lands, play a couple of dismembers. Veil of Summer is just very slow when I'm on the draw. I don't know that I'm in love. I have a hand starting with a Surgical as well as a Once Upon a Time. I have Pithing Needle for Cephalid Coliseum. This is fine. Oh my gosh, my opponent is going to 4 here. 2-3. My opponent also said that GP New Jersey was like a decade ago. Which, ow. Careful Study resolves. This is not an island or days. No, Dredger. Oh no. Okay, I don't want that second Pithing Needle. I don't really want any of these cards. I have green mana. Osage could technically become a land destruction spell. Post or Forest? Let's go Forest. Play Glimmerpost. Pithing Needle, Cephalid Coliseum. So the mana ability will still work, but the ability that usually starts dredge nonsense won't. Another Careful Study. No dredgers. Wow. Are we Vesuva-ing copying Glimmerpost? Vesuva copy Bojuka Bog a little bit later is pretty cheeky. Forest pass, I think. I don't play out the second Pithing Needle in case my opponent has some like Force of Vigor nonsense that could take this card out. That is a fair Brainstorm. An unfair deck. Fetch land's fine. Another Forest. Yeah, I'm playing it. This is a weird game. Alright. Oh, my opponent's got an island. Are we on hardcast Narcomoeba? We are on hardcast Golgari Thug. My opponent and I simultaneously typed 21 turn clock. Let's go. I don't dismember that because I don't want to surgically extract that. I'll draw something that does something eventually. Cavern on Giant. My opponent has suggested dismembering the Thug. I don't think I'm going to do that. But I really respect the fact that they're being so helpful. Alright. Sure. Now that's very good. That's a Bridge from Below. Is that the thing that I extract in this matchup? Because I can choose to extract bridges right now and never have to deal with them, and then bog my opponent. I still like lose to Narcomoebas and Oozy Whatsits. Yeah, let's not ever deal with bridge. Do have to pay 2 life for this. All right, bridge is gone. There's 1 Ashen Rider. That's not gonna matter. There's 2 Icarids. So my opponent, once this Dread Return is gone, cannot get Pithing Needle out of play. Got it, because this bounces enchantments. That's creature or enchantment. Okay. So now I dismember the Thug, because it will deal 4 points of damage to me over the course of the rest of this game. Put a Thug back and force my opponent to use more mana. I guess that's a way to sneak a Narcomoeba in. Alright. Weird game. Alright, there's an Emrakul. Do I Vesuva a Glimmerpost now? I don't think so, because Vesuva can also be Bojuka Bog. Forest Pass. This is the world's longest game versus Dredge. I will get to 15 land drops. Resolves. I'm not sure that casting that... Well, actually, no. I like them casting that there, because at 7 mana, I can Green Sun for a prime time, and that's a really big deal. Alright. Cloudpost, pass. Alright, cool. Stop drawing Pithing Needles, Phil. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm still very far away from Emrakul. At this point, I think I'm just going to play this Boseiju as a land rather than Vesuva. And I think I'm not going to try to get through my opponent's 2 remaining copies of Underground Sea. Sure. All right, there's a troll. Okay, there's a cantrip. I'm very happy to see that. Elvish Reclaimer? Elvish Reclaimer probably does a lot of work with Vesuvas in particular. Let's Vesuva, copy Bojuka Bog, take that Grave Troll out of my opponent's graveyard. Cool. Then drop Elvish Reclaimer and pass the turn. And then once Elvish Reclaimer is active, I believe I have 1 more copy of Vesuva. I'll have 1 more instant speed Bojuka Bog available. And I can also just get like Eye of Ugin. Yes, your Cabal Therapy resolves. I do not mind losing the Emrakul, because that actually puts a Surgical Extraction back into the deck. I'm not gonna like upkeep activate this to... Okay, how many Vesuvas do I have? I have 2 Vesuvas, so that is my last Vesuva. Slightly awkward. I'll probably just accept that. Vesuva, copy Cloudpost, pass turn, get Eye of Ugin, and go from there. Yes. Alright. So my opponent, I think, is going to concede here. So 3, 6, 7, activate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, not quite there. Alright. Yeah, my opponent is giving me the GGs. And we end up with a 3-2 league. So how are we feeling about the deck after 5 rounds? Not bad. You can definitely feel the strain in the mana base for the like green versus colored sources. And I've never been the biggest fan of this deck for that reason. Like, Yavimaya is much more important than it looks to holding together the mana base. We got ourselves out of some absolute nonsense, and the deck has some cool lines, but I probably punted 2 games over the course of this league to mistakes. I'm not going to say that it's hard to play. I'm going to say that it is easy to make a mistake that costs you a game. And I think those things are different. So, like, when you make a mistake, your margins are often pretty tight. So miscounting a mana can be a huge deal. In that pseudo mirror we played, when my opponent like miscounted their mana and thought that they would have like green for a Primeval Titan and then realized they wouldn't, like, that probably cost them that game, or at the very least made them very much not favored. We went over the top of some blue decks, kind of as expected. I don't know how I feel about the One Ring in this shell, though. Like, Orcish Bowmasters is everywhere, so it's not like it's a free roll to play it, and the One Ring is on enough people's radar that Cast into the Fire saw play out of the, what was it, the Jeskai deck that we played. I did not like playing against the Monarch, and I imagine that similarly playing against the Initiative would feel pretty bad, because I can't contest those things very well. I still give this deck a thumbs up, though. I don't know about this card. Like, I was very much on the fence about whether or not I should be boarding it in. Maybe this is for like the Blood Moon decks specifically. I don't know quite what this player's logic was in designing the deck, but it felt pretty good. I don't know that this is one of the better things that you can be doing in the format, but I wanted to cast some big dumb spells, and this definitely scratched the itch. Folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you end up needing to get any of these cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. Use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!